we're going to talk about why 0.1 Bitcoin could make you rich, we need to understand what is Bitcoin's wealth. What is Bitcoin's worth? What is its total addressable market cap? Where is Bitcoin going to be in the future? And I would encourage the listeners to do their own calculations, run their own maths. I'm just going to walk you guys through how I think about the world. So I think there's $900 trillion of wealth in the world today. $300 trillion of real estate, $300 trillion of debt. You got $100 trillion in fiat, $100 trillion in bond. Everybody's aware of that. We got $19 trillion in gold. And I think like 70 to 80% of the world's wealth has been put there in inferior store of value asset classes. Money is no longer functioning as money, and that's why the real estate market is grossly overvalued. So I've run the numbers on this, and I've written 8,000 word articles looking at the monetary premium in each bucket, whether that be the bond market, the debt market, the real estate market. I ran all the maths, I ran all the numbers. I think there's, for example, a 70 to 80% monetary premium in the global real estate market. So if you have a look at house prices pre-1970, when we were on a gold standard, when we were using money that actually stored value, the average home cost somewhere between 2 to 3 times the average person's income. Today it's 7, 8, 9 in Sydney, Australia. It's like 15x the average person's income. So if you run the numbers, there's about $280 trillion in the global real estate market that's purely there looking for a store of value. It's not like real estate is priced at its utility value. What we're looking at in this $900 trillion pool of money is money just simply looking for a home. So you guys can run your own numbers, but I think it's pretty conservative to assume that half of that money will flow into Bitcoin in the next couple of decades. I personally think it's going to happen a lot quicker, but again, let's be conservative. Let's say it's going to take 2 decades. Well, if you've got $450 trillion of demand coming into Bitcoin, what a lot of people forget is that not all 21 million Bitcoin are actually available for sale. So this is where we get into this thing called the multiplier effect. Over the past 4 years, this multiplier effect has averaged somewhere around 5x. So that means for every $1 that flows into Bitcoin, it actually pushes the Bitcoin market cap up by 5x. And this is very important to know if you want to start thinking about what price one Bitcoin could be in the future. So if you just run the numbers, if we've got $450 trillion of hypothetical demand for Bitcoin, that's if half the world's wealth wants to flow into Bitcoin, you got a multiplier effect of 5. That means the price of Bitcoin gets you somewhere around a $2 quadrillion market cap. Then you can divide by the 21 million coins, and you're looking at a price tag of Bitcoin somewhere around $100 million per coin. And that's in today's purchasing power. This doesn't account for hyperinflation. This is only looking at the money available in the world today. One Bitcoin should be worth somewhere around $100 million per coin. And just look at the purchasing power that gives you. It would buy you 10 to 15 Malibu beach houses in California. They go for about $10 million a pop. And again, this is where we start coming to the realization, okay, how much do you need to retire? If Bitcoin does get to crazy lofty targets like that, I don't think you need 1 Bitcoin to retire. Maybe you can do it with 0.1 Bitcoin. That would be worth $10 million. So this, again, I think it's really important context and framing, because a lot of people are just wildly too bearish on Bitcoin. A lot of people don't understand the history of technology. They don't understand monetary transitions. And most people just can't think in an exponential fashion. Like today, global Bitcoin adoption is less than 1%. And we've gone from $0 to $100,000 per coin. To anybody thinking I'm crazy for saying Bitcoin could hit $100 million a coin, ask yourself, what happens when the other 99% of the world figure out they need to buy Bitcoin? We've gone from $0 to $100,000 a coin with 1% of the world owning this thing and taking self-custody of this thing. This has happened during a time when 95% of all of the Bitcoin that will ever be created has been mined. So over the next 16 years of Bitcoin's life, we're 16 years old today, we're only going to watch another million coins get mined, probably less, and 99% of the world flood into this thing. Price isn't going from 100,000 to 200,000. This is the thing people don't get about exponential change. It doesn't work like that. It's going to be going from 100,000 to 100 million. These orders of magnitude are just so difficult for most people to understand. And Bitcoin is so early in its adoption curve. I don't think a lot of people have been recognizing the exponential change we've been living through since 2020. I don't think a lot of people have recognized that Bitcoin's fundamentally changed post 2020. Just because right now Bitcoin is still following old models like a power law model, I think a lot of people are setting themselves up to be surprised to the upside, and I think squander an opportunity to free their family from fiat forever with zero point 0.1 Bitcoin. And I think that's purely because they're not thinking about the bigger picture. They're not thinking about what Bitcoin could be worth. And I think CK Snarks puts it best. He kind of popularized an idea saying that, look, Bitcoin is a binary bet. It's either going to take over the world, it's going to become the new global reserve currency, unit of account, and primary store of value, or it's going to fail and it's going to go to zero. I 100% agree with that. I think the least likely outcome is Bitcoin just becomes another asset. It's just digital gold. It's just $500,000 a coin for the next 20 years. I think that's incredibly unlikely. And I've put my money where my mouth is. I think there's a 99.99% probability that Bitcoin is what we think it is. It is the greatest invention in human history. It's a once in a species invention. It is the thing that all of a sudden gives us something to store value in the digital realm. Until Bitcoin was created, you could not create scarcity in the digital realm. We've done it. And I think what we're watching and what we're living through is, for the first time in the 7,000 years of monetary history, we're watching value transition from the analog world to the digital world. We're in the midst of this transition. And just pinch yourself. It's pretty crazy that out of the 7,000 years, in the 20, 30, or 40, or 50, or 60, or 70 years of age that you might be today, you get to watch this transition. And this is only going to happen once. Are you taking advantage of this transition? I don't think most people are.
I'd love for you to expand on this a little bit. I saw a tweet from American Hodl earlier, and it was about Bitcoin being infinite. Now it's funny because I always think of Bitcoin and how I've told the people over time that Bitcoin is a finite container for equal to your finite time and energy. And so it's this perfect trade. It's the only trade a smart investor would make, in my opinion. We have our time and energy, which is we only get so much on Earth, and you have to trade that if you're working, have you labor, whatever it is you're doing, providing a good and service, and you have to make a trade. Now, most people have been trading that for dollars or yen or lira, whatever it is, something with a hole, an inflationary hole in it. And so it's seeping out your time and energy. And so Bitcoin is the first time that it's perfectly finite, equally finite with your finite time and energy on Earth. And so that's why, to me, it's a perfect trading pair. And it's the first one we've ever seen in human history. And American Hodl was talking about that finite container that I call it. He was saying that Bitcoin is infinite money. And so it goes to what you're saying here, like this exponential, like he was saying that the purchasing power of Bitcoin is infinite. That container can hold infinite amounts of purchasing power. So that, to me, I think is the hardest thing that people have a hard time grasping. It's like, you guys are talking all these crazy numbers and what's happening. What is it to you, I guess, that people are missing when they can't see what is possible with Bitcoin, this exponential? Obviously, we're not exponential creatures, but what is that thing that people are missing when they're trying to put this together and not understanding how high and how much purchasing power Bitcoin can really have?
If you want the answer to that question right there and you like that spicy clip, check it out here. Come on, we'll see you in there. But if you want the full interview in its entirety, all the spicy clips put together, and you're not going to want to miss it, believe me, then check that out here. Go on, we'll see you in there. Do it.